Today is Friday Math Happy Hour. Today we're going to cover the most important topics for exam one review. Okay, so let's start. The first few topics are going to be about graphing. Graphing in different ways, like plotting points, by using the slope-intercept form, and also by using the x and y-intercept. Those are the first few topics that we're going to cover, and then after that, we're going to cover a few more topics that's important or crucial for the exam one review. Okay, graphing by plotting points. Say they give us the equation y equals, or the equation y equals to negative 2x plus 3. We need to find some points, right? Plug in some points for x. It only requires to use 2 points. But here, guys, I use more than 2 points. I'm going to use 4 points. I'm going to use negative 1 for x, 0, 1, and 2. It's always wise to use small integers, because if you use real large integers, the graph might be off the grid. Okay, so it's always wise to keep it to very, very small integers. So now, when x is negative 1, all we're going to do is plug in the negative 1 where the x is. And then we simplify, so that's going to give us 5. So when x is negative 1, y is 5, which results in the order pair negative 1, 5. And we repeat the process for x equals 0, x equals 1, and x equals 2. So when x equals 0, all we do is plug in the 0 for the x. So it's going to give us 0 plus 3, so y equals 3. So when x is 0, y is 3, and the order pair is 0, 3. Now, let's repeat the process. So now x equals to 1. So we're going to plug in 1 where the x goes. So it gives us negative 2 plus 3. So the result will give us is y equals to 1. So when x is 1, y is 1. The order pair will be 1, 1. And finally, when x equals to 2. So we're going to plug in 2 where the x goes. So it will give us negative 2 times 2 plus 3. And the result will give us negative 1. So when x is 2, y will be negative 1. And the order pair will be 2, negative 1. Now, right now, we're going to plot the points. So negative 1, 5. There's negative 1, 5. 0, 3. 1, 1. And 2, negative 1. And then we connect all those points should be on a straight line, which it is. Here's your line. So that's my graph. Okay, now let's graph the very same equation, but in different form. We're going to use the slope-intercept form. Okay, which means I need to find my m, I need to find my b. Right, my m will be negative 2, which means the slope is negative 2, which means it's going to go down 2 and 1 to the right. From where? From my b, which is a y-intercept. The y-intercept will be 3. So b equals 3, that's my y-intercept, which is 0, 3, and that's my starting point. Okay? So we start with 0, 3, so 0 will be 3 up here on the y-axis. Then we're going to go down 2, 1, 2, and 1 to the right. And we just connect those 2 points. That's my line. That's the same line as what we did by plotting points. Okay. Now let's graph another one. Let's see here. So again, solution, I need to find my slope, my m, and my b. My m will be 3, which results in the equation going down 3 and 1 to the right from my y-intercept. My y-intercept is 0, negative 5, and that's my starting point. So we start at 0, negative 5. We're going to go to the y-axis and go all the way to negative 5 and plot that point. Then I'm going to go up 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1 to the right. There's my point. We connect the 2 points, and that's my line that we're looking for. Okay, now let's graph the equation y equals 4. Y equals 4, right? It doesn't have an m, right? The m, if there's no m, the slope is 0. Which means it's going to be a horizontal line. So 4 is my starting point, right? So all we do is do a horizontal line because my slope is 0. Okay, now here's the observation. When the equation is y equals to a number, any number, right? I mean, that's why I put a number sign to make it easier for the students. The horizontal line will be at that number. Okay, for example, y equals 4. So it's going to be a horizontal line at y equals 4. Now let's try x equals negative 2. When x equals negative 2, right, there's no y, right? So when there's no y, guys, it's going to be a vertical line. Okay, which means the slope is undefined. So it's going to be a vertical line at x equals negative 2. There it is. Okay, so x equals negative 2, that's my line. And what's the observation? When the equation is x equals to a number, the vertical line will be at that number. Now, let's do another graph, okay? Now, let's graph negative 5x minus 2y equals to negative 10. Okay, solution, if we want, we can put it, set the equation in the slope-intercept form, which is y equals to mx plus b. Right, so that means we have to isolate the y. So the first step, we're going to add 5x to both sides. If we do that, on the left side, the result will be negative 2y equals to 5x minus 10. Then I need to divide everything or every term by negative 2. That gives us y equals to negative 5 halves x plus 5. Now I have my m, my slope, which is negative 5 over 2, which means it's going to go down 5 and 2 to the right from my b, which is a y-intercept. This is my starting point. So we start at 0, 5. We're going to go down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 2 to the right. There's my point. We connect the 2 points, and that's my line. Okay, now let's do the very same one again. But instead of doing it how we did it on the slide by using the slope-intercept form, we're going to use the intercepts, the x and y intercept. Okay, now to find the x and y intercept, these are the rules. To find the x-intercept, we let y equals 0 and solve for x. And to find the y-intercept, we let x equals 0 and solve for y. So here we're going to first find, right, the x-intercept. So we're going to let y equals 0. So that means we're going to plug in 0 for the y. That gives us negative 5x equals to negative 10. We divide both sides by negative 5. So the result will be x equals to 2. So the x-intercept will be 2, 0. To plot it, it'll be 2, 0 right there on the graph on the right side. Now let's find the y-intercept. So the rules for the y-intercept, we have to let x equals 0 and we solve for y. Right, so we're going to plug in 0 for x. The result will give us negative 2y equals to negative 10. We divide both sides by negative 2. So y equals 5. So the point will be 0, 5. That's my y-intercept. Let's plot the point. It's up here on the y-axis, 0, 5. And now we connect the dots. That's my line. Okay, now I tell my students in class that if the equation is in the form of ax plus by equals c, use the x and y intercept. If the equation is in y equals to mx plus b, well then use that form, the slope intercept form, or they can use any form they want. But I'm telling them what's easier. Okay, now here's an easier method. By the next example, we're going to use I call it the cover. In the book, it doesn't say cover, but I try to make it easier for the students and words they can understand. So by cover means I'm going to cover the x first to find the y-intercept, and then the y to find the x-intercept. Here's how I work. And this will require minimal work. Okay? Find the x-intercept. We let y equals 0, right? So here's what we do. We're going to cover the y, right? Because if y equals 0, we cover the whole y, because if it's 0, that'll give us 0. Now, in your heads, you can divide both sides by 3, right? So x equals to 4. And there's my point for 0. Now, to find the y-intercept, right, we let x equals 0 and solve for y. So similar, right, we're going to cover the x, because if x is 0, the whole thing is gone. So we're left with negative 4y equals 12, and now you can do it, guys, in your heads. So we divide both sides by negative 4, and the result will give us negative 3. So that will give us 0 and negative 3. So to plot that one, will be on the y-axis, 0 and negative 3. We connect the 2 points, and that's my line. Again, this is very simple if you guys know how to do basic algebra, right? But if you struggle with basic algebra, it will be a little bit more challenging. But this is to do the minimal work and get the right answer. Okay, now we're going to find the slope now. Okay, finding the slope of a line through 2 points. So here's my formula, guys. The slope is equal to the change of y over the change of x, which means, here's the definition. The slope of the line through 2 points, x1 and y1, that means that this is point 1, x1 and y1. And point 2 will give us x2 and y2. Where x1 and x2, right, they don't equal, because if not, it'll be undefined. So this is my slope formula that we use. Okay, this is number 9. Right, we know that y1 will be 9. x1 will be 9, y1 will be 0, x2 will be 12, and y2 will be 12. Now all we do is plug them into the formula. Right, so we're going to have 12 minus 0 over 12 minus 9 is going to give us 12 over 3, which will give us 4. My slope is 4. Okay, same thing with number 10. Right? x1 is negative 5, y1 is negative 2, x2 is negative 4, and y2 is 11. We plug them into the formula. That becomes 13 over there'll be 11 plus 2 over negative 4 plus 5 will give us 13 over 1. The answer is 13. That's my slope. Okay, now let's do number 11, number 12. Okay, we know that x1 is 5, y1 is 3, x2 is negative 7, and y2 is 3. Put them into the formula. So we get 3 minus 3, right? So it's going to give us 0 over negative 12. So my slope is equal to 0. Okay, now here's an observation. Okay, check this out. Hey guys, if you're doing your homework and I want you to find the slope on MyMathLab, okay, before you do any work, you always check the x values, the x1 and the x2. If they're the same, right, then the answer will be undefined. Why? Because it's going to be, the denominator is going to give you 0, which is undefined. And if the y's repeat, you see, for example, in this case, number 11, the y's repeat, right? We have y1 equals 3 and y2 equals 3. So if the y's repeat, the slope is going to be 0 without doing the work. You guys, that should be obvious to see. Okay? Now look at number 12. So before we do anything, let's compare the x's, right? We have x is 1 on the first point and x is 1 on the second point. So this, the answer will be undefined. Okay, but let's pretend we didn't know that. Okay, let's do the work. x1 is 1, y1 is 2, x2 is 1, and y2 is negative 6. If you notice, right, so on the denominator, since the x is repeat, it's going to give us a number over 0, which will be negative 8 over 0. Remember, if you have 0 on the denominator, it's undefined. So again, what's the observation? When the x values of the 2 points repeat, it's undefined slope. And for the 0 slope is when the y values of the 2 points repeat, it's going to be 0 slope. So these are good observations for you guys to see. This way, when you do your homework, guys, you can right away you know if you need to do the work or if it's going to be 0 slope or undefined slope. Okay, now the slope is important because the next step that we have to do is find an equation of the line passing through the given points. Okay, so let's apply the formula first, right? Do the x's repeat? No, they don't. Do the y's repeat? No, they don't. That means that we can actually we need to work it out, right? So here's the first thing you're going to do, guys, is use the Poinsot formula. Here's another formula that they introduced. After you find the slope, we can plug it into this formula to get my equation. This my x1 is -5, y1 is -2. My x2 is -4, and my y2 is 11. Let's plug them into the formula. So we're going to get, I believe this was the one that we did, I think number one that we did on finding the slope. We got 13 over 1, which is 13. So my slope is 13. Now, right, we need to find, we need to use x1 and y1, the first point. Right, from here, x1 is -5 and y1 is -2. And we have our slope, which is 13. So all we do is plug them into the formula. Right? There's my my y1 is -2, my m is 13, and my x1 is -5. They'll give us y plus 2 equals to 13x plus 5. Now on the right side, we have to distribute. So we're going to do 13 times x and 13 times 5. So we have y plus 2 equals to 13x plus 65, because 13 times 5 is 65. Now we subtract 2 to both sides. So it's going to give us y equals to 13x plus 63. This is my equation that we're looking at. Okay, now here, guys, they're going to give us some graphs. We have to find the equation of the line. Okay. So here, if you notice, guys, let me use a laser pencil here. Right here, right? The solution, we need to find my m. Let me go back, guys, to make sure that, because it doesn't work. Hold on, let me see if I can. How can I take this out? And here we go. I guess I can use the laser, right? Because I'm using the animation, it will not work. So there's my objective is to put it in the y equals to mx plus b. So I need to find my m and my b. And the slope is rise over run, and b is the y-intercept. So for the one here on the left, my b, right, it crosses the y-axis at 1, so my b is equal to 1. After that, I need to find another point that goes exactly through a corner. For example, I'm going to use this one here. Right? And then we make a right triangle. This means the slope is going to be positive, right? It went up 1, 2, it went up 3, and went up 4 to the right. So my slope is rise over run, which will be 3/4. Now there's my equation, right? So now all we do is plug in the 3/4 for my m and the 1 for the b, and we have our equation. Y equals to 3/4 x plus 1. Okay, on the second graph, my b is -2. Now let's find another point that goes exactly through a corner. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, guys, let me get this marker again. You see, guys, I cannot use this point here. It's got to be a point that goes exactly through a corner, and is this one here. I can use this point here, or I can use, that's the only one I can use, is this one here, because it goes exactly through a corner, right? So that's the one that I'm going to be using. So let me take it out. Let me see if I can take it out again. Let me see here. Hold on, how did I do it last time? Okay, let me see here. Because I apologize for this, let me go here. But again, let me see this here. I'm getting stuck here, guys. Okay, hold on. That's what I get for using this here, guys. Okay, let me see here. Let me get out again. Let me end the show, guys, and come back to it, okay? Okay, I'm going to go back again to where I left off. I'm sorry about that. I believe it was right here. So let me start again from here, from current slide. I won't use the animation again, guys, okay? Because they got me into trouble here. So let me go real quick and go to the one that we're doing. Right, so I think it was number 2 here. Yeah, there's my B, right? So we have to go to another corner, and I think it's going to be this corner here on the point -4, 3 is a corner. Right, so now it means that we went down 1, 2, 3, 4, we went down 5. That'll be -5, and went to the right 1, 2, 3, 4, -5/4. So that's my slope, -5/4. So just plug in the -5/4 for the M and the -2 for the B, and we're done with this problem here. So this is the equation that we're looking for. Y equals to -5/4 x minus 2. Now the third one. You can remember the observation, guys, that this was zero slope, right? So this equation, my B is 3, so the answer will be y equals 3. I mean, y equals -3. I'm sorry about that, because it's on the negative side. And this is the vertical line. Remember, the vertical line will be x equals to a number, or x equals to c. So x equals to 4. So these two guys are very simple to do, guys. Just remember that if it's a horizontal line, it's going to be y equals to whatever the number is on that line, which is -3. And for the vertical line, since it's at 4, right? So it's going to be a vertical line at x equals 4. Okay, now find the equation of the line given the two conditions. Okay, let's pass it through the point 3, 4, and parallel to the equation 4x minus 2y equals 5. So here, guys, what they mean here is that we have to find another line that's parallel to this line, the given line, but the line that we're looking for passes through the point 3, 4. So the solution is I need to find the slope on the first equation, and then use the Poinsot formula to solve, to write the equation in proper form, which is y equals to mx plus b. So here I need to solve for y. I'm going to subtract 4x to both sides. So it's going to give us -2y equals to -4x plus 5. We divide both sides by -2. It gives us y equals to 2x minus 5 over 2. So my slope on this one, guys, will be 2, right? So since the lines are parallel, we're going to use the slope that we just found on the first equation, which is m equals 2. Now we have my slope is 2 and my point is 3, 4. Let's plug everything in. My x1 is 3, my y1 is 4, and my slope is 2. We plug them in there. We distribute the 2. We're going to get y minus 4 equals to 2x minus 6. We add 4 to both sides. And that gives us y equals to 2x minus 2. So that's my equation that we're looking for. But there's another way to get the answer, guys, okay? This other way is for students that actually struggle with basic algebra. So the other method is that y equals to mx, right? So let's solve for b here. So in this case, b equals to y minus mx. This will be much easier because students can use a calculator, guys, once they reach this course here, the 1324. So to find b, we use y equals b. To find b, we use y equals y minus mx. Okay. So my x1 is 3, my y1 is 4, and my m is 2. Right. So my y is 4, my slope is 2, and my x is 3. If you want, you can just put in the calculator, guys, or here's how you do it by work. It'll be 4 minus 6. The answer will be -2. I tell students that they struggle with basic algebra, for example, by using the one, but with a Poinsot formula, this requires some algebra. You need to know exactly what you're doing. But if you struggle with that with basic algebra and you want to make sure you get the answer right, you use the second method. So all we do is plug in the calculator, guys, here where it says 4 minus 2x times 3. That's where you plug in, and we should get -2. So again, I found my m, I found my b. We plug them into the equation. So we get y equals to 2x minus 2. You see, we get the same thing. Okay. Now, Now the previous one was parallel. Now this is perpendicular. So, and I believe perpendicular, they went over the perpendicular slopes, I believe, in the week 2 Friday Happy Hour PowerPoint. But so in this case, we're going to follow the same procedure as we did for number 15, which was the previous slide. Okay, but once we find the slope, we have to use the opposite reciprocal, which I'm going to show you once we get the slope. So in this case, right, we got to add 2x to both sides. That gives us y equals to 2x minus 3. My slope is 2, right? If the lines were parallel, we use the same slope, but the perpendicular, we're going to use the opposite reciprocal, which means what's the opposite sign? Will be negative, right? And the reciprocal will be 1/2. So this slope and this one, the m equals 2 and m equals to negative 1/2, they're both perpendicular slopes. So we have my m, my slope is negative 1/2, and we have the point, which is 6, 8. Again, let's use that method, the first one, which is a point slope formula. We plug in the 8 for the y1 and the 6 for the x1, and the negative 1/2 for my slope. Now here we have to distribute. So y minus 8, and then here we multiply negative 1/2 times x, which will give us negative 1/2 x. Then we multiply negative 1/2 times negative 6, which will give us positive 3. Now we add 8 to both sides. So here's my answer, y equals to negative 1/2 x plus 11. You can use the other method that I showed you guys, that b equals to y minus mx, but I believe here in this PowerPoint I didn't use it. Okay. Now number 17 is evaluating functions. Because for that, first of all, I need to choose my function, f of x equals to x squared minus x plus 4. They want us to find f of negative 2, f of 5, f of x plus h, and f of x plus h minus f of x over h. So first, let's do a part. When we evaluate, all it means that to find f of negative 2, we're going to plug in negative 2 for every x on the function. Right, so we're going to plug it in there, my negative 2, and also here, my negative 2. They'll give us 4 plus 2 plus 6. 4 plus 2 plus 4 will give us what? 10. So f of negative 2 will give us 10. That means when x is negative 2, y is 10. Now let's repeat the process, but with x equals 3. So we're going to plug in the 3. This is supposed to be f of 5, guys, okay? I messed up here. This is supposed to be a 5 there. I'll fix it later. But we're finding f of 5, you see, and I put 3 there. So f of 5 means we're going to plug in 5 where the x is, for the x squared, and also for the x here where it says minus x. They're going to give us 25 minus 5 plus 4. It should give us, what, 24. So when x is 5, y is 24. Now let's find f of x plus h. We repeat the process, but instead of plugging in those numbers like negative 2, we're going to plug in the whole thing, x plus h, for every x. We're going to plug it in x plus h and x plus h. Now here we have to simplify it. So x plus h squared, right, will give us the same thing as x plus h times x plus h. Here, guys, we apply the FOIL method, so we get x squared plus xh plus xh plus h squared. To simplify it, it will give us x squared plus 2xh plus h squared. So the x plus h squared, here's my result, and I also use color-coded so that way you can see where it came from. Minus the x plus h plus 4. Now here, guys, what we do here, we distribute, right? We bring down the x squared plus 2xh plus h squared. What we do is bring it down. And then with the negative, it gets distributed to the x and the h. So negative 1 times x will give us negative x. And negative 1 times h will give us negative h. And then we bring down the 4. So this is my result. Okay. Now for part D, we're going to use what we got, right, for for part A, for part C, right, we do the same thing as before. And I believe this step I already did it on the previous on part C. Okay, so I'll just continue. Okay, so now, so part 2, guys, right? We're going to use what we got on part C, which is x squared plus 2xh plus h squared minus h plus 4 is my f of x plus h, minus my f of x, which is the original function, x squared minus x plus 4. So here, guys, right, so what we did, the first numbers in the parentheses, right, we just brought it down. With a minus, right, with this minus here, minus x squared minus x plus 4, all we do is multiply -1 times every one of those terms, or we just switch the signs. For example, -1 times x squared will give us negative x squared. -1 times negative x will give us positive x. And -1 times 4 will give us -4. Here's a hint for I tell my students. Every term without an h will be eliminated. Okay? For example, x squared cancels or is eliminated with negative x squared here on the right here. So those two cancel. And then the x, right, the negative x plus x, they also cancel, or is equal to 0. And the 4 minus 4 is also equal to 0. So you notice every term that was left has an h in it. Right, so this was left, 2xh plus h squared minus h. Now we're going to factor out an h. What's the purpose of this step here? Because now when we do step 3, which is the whole problem that we're looking for, the quotient rule, the difference quotient, right? So the numerator, the f of x plus h minus f of x is equal to what we just got here in the previous step. We just bring it down, and this way the h's will cancel. So here's my result. It will be 2x plus h minus 1. A lot of students struggle with these types of problems with the difference quotients. Hey guys, this problem is crucial if you're taking the next course, which is 1325 class. I think it's business calculus. For the people that are going, or students that are going for accounting or for business, they need to know this, because this is the beginning of calculus. Okay, and this you will see again when you get the next course. Now let's do another one that's much easier. Why is it much easier? Because this one, my function doesn't have a square. It's only 2x minus 3. But let's follow the same procedure. So first I need to find my f of x plus h. So I'm going to plug it in where the x goes. Here it is. Now we distribute. It's going to give us 2x plus 2h minus 3. Now step 2, right? We're going to do the whole numerator, the f of x plus h minus f of x. That's my f of x plus h minus my f of x, which is the original function, 2x minus 3. Now here, guys, with a negative here, with a minus, distributes, makes the next two terms opposite signs, because negative and a positive will give you a negative, and negative and a negative will give you a positive. And again, the same process as before. Every term without an h must be eliminated, right? So you see we have a 2x here and a minus 2x on towards the right side. Those are eliminated. The negative 3 and the 3 are also eliminated. So we're left with 2h. Now for the final step, right, is a whole difference quotient. We have 2h over h. The h get canceled, so h over h is equal to 1, and 2 times 1 will give us 2. Here's my result. Now number 19. How are linear functions used in real life? Here's an example. It says the manufacturer's suggested retail price, which is called the MSRP, for a new base model Toyota Prius is $25,035. And it's expected to be worth $14,115 in 4 years. So the first part A, says find a linear depreciation function for this car. For part B, estimate the value of the car in 5 years from now. And part C, at what rate is the car depreciating? Okay, so what's my solution? For part A, we need to find 2 points with the given information. So when the car is brand new, right, x equals 0. So the original price is $25,035, and that's your y. I mean the y-intercept. That's my first point. My second point, right, in 4 years, so then x equals 4, and the car was worth $14,115. So in 4 years, my y is 14,115. So my point is 4 and 14,115. Now we use the slope formula that we were using earlier. Right. So my first point, my 0 is x1, my 25,035 is y1, my 4 is x1, and my 14,115 is my y2. Right. So we plug him in there, and then we like 14,115 minus 25,035 will give us 10,920. And 4 minus 0 will give us 4. Now, if we divide that, it's going to give us negative 22,730. That's my slope. So now to find the b, right? We know that the b is 25,035, right? But say we didn't know it. Okay, we can just apply to find b. We use the first point, which is 0 and 25,035, and my slope we just found it, which was 2,730. We plug them into the formula, right? This is going to give us 25,035. Again, the b should have been obvious, guys, right at the beginning, okay? Because the y-intercept of the b is when x is 0, that's my b. So that's why this is my b here, guys, the 25,035. But we also did the work just so you see that it does come out. So that's my slope, the negative 2730, and my b is 25,035. We plug them into the formula. So our function for a part is y f of x equals to negative 2,730x plus 25,035. Now for b part, estimate the value of the car in 5 years from now. So for that one, we use for the answer for part A. We're gonna find f of 5, which means we're gonna plug in 5 for every x in the equation that we found in part A. So after we do that, right, we use a calculator and we get 11,385. So for part B, the car will be worth $11,385 in 5 years from now. Now for part C, at what rate is a car depreciating? Okay, that means the slope, right? So the slope is the answer, but we have to write it or state the answer in proper form. The word depreciating, it already means it's negative. Okay, so the answer will be at the car is depreciating at $2,730 per year. If you notice, we don't put a negative sign there because the word depreciating, it means it's already negative. So the answer for part C is a car is depreciating at a rate of $2,730 per year. Now, number 20. A company manufactures 65-inch smart TVs that sells to the retailers for $500. The cost of making X of these TVs is C of X equals to 300X plus 213,000. I forgot to put another 0 here, guys. It's supposed to be 213,000. Okay, now it says find the revenue function. And for the revenue function is the price of the TVs, how much do they sell for? So R of X equals to 500X. That's the answer for part A. If you don't put R of X, right, it's wrong. If you only put 500, it's wrong. You have to state or write R of X equals to 500X. Now for part B, find the profit function. The profit function is R of X minus C of X. So right, so my revenue function is 500X, and my cost function, which is C of x, is equal to 300x plus 213,000. Right? Remember to distribute -1 or change the signs. This gives us 500x minus 300x minus 213,000. Now we can combine the 500x and the 300x. So 500x minus 300x will give us 200x. So that gives us the result will be the profit function is 200x minus 213,000. That's the answer for part B. Now for part C, what's the profit of selling 2,500 TVs? That only means that we need to evaluate the profit function at 2,500. So all we do is plug in 2,500 for the x on the profit function. We use a calculator, so the answer will be 287,000. So the profit of selling 2,500 TVs is $287,000. That's my profit. Okay, now 21. It says find the vertex, axial symmetry, y-intercept, and x-intercept of the function. Right, here's where you find the vertex. That's my formula. To find the x value of the vertex is negative b over 2a. And to find the y value is f of negative b over 2a. The axial symmetry, if you notice, is the x part of the vertex. X equals to negative b over 2a. For the y-intercept, it's also obvious. The answer should be 0c. So whatever the c is, that's your y-intercept. And for the x-intercepts, we have to factor or use a quadratic formula. Okay? Let's start with the vertex. We know that my a is 1 and my b is 10. So let's plug them into the formula. So negative b over 2a. My b is 10. My a is 1. This gives us negative 5. Now, to find the y part of the vertex, we plug the negative 5 to the original function, or we evaluate the function at negative 5. Which means I'm going to plug in negative 5 for every x. This gives us negative 16. Because negative 5 squared is 25. Plus 10 times negative 5, they'll give us negative 50. Plus 9, if we put that in the calculator, guys, or we do the addition and subtraction, it'll give us negative 16. So my slope is, not my slope, my vertex is negative 5, negative 16. That's my vertex. Now for the axial symmetry, it'll just be x equals to the x part of the vertex, which is x equals to negative 5. For the y-intercept, it's also obvious. It's going to be 0, 9. My c is 9, so it's going to be give us 0, 9. Now for the x-intercepts, we're going to let y equal 0. So here, guys, we have to factor. And I believe last week is when they covered the factoring topic on Friday Happy Hour, which was last Friday. So x squared plus 10x plus 9, if you factor, this equation is going to give us x plus 9 and x plus 1. We set them both equal to 0, and we solve for x. X equals negative 9 and x equals negative 1. These are my intercepts. Negative 9, 0, and negative 1, 0 are my x-intercepts, and the y-intercept was 0, 9. Now, let's find the same thing, guys, but now it's in different form. Here, guys, my vertex is hk. My axial symmetry is x equals to h. For the y-intercept, we're going to let x equal 0 and solve for y. And for the x-intercepts, we let y equal 0 and solve for x. So like I tell my students, that the vertex and the axial symmetry are visual. You can see it without doing the work. Okay? There's my equation, right? My h is negative 3 and my k is negative 16. See, there's my h, there's my k. If you notice, because the minus sign here, it just means that when it's minus here, the h is going to be positive. And if it's positive, it's going to be negative. For example, here it's positive, so it's going to be negative. So it's going to be negative 3, negative 16 is my vertex. Now, once you find your vertex, you also found the axial symmetry, because the axial symmetry is x equals to the x part of the vertex. So it'll be x equals to negative 3. Now, to find the y-intercept, we're going to let x equal to 0, right? So 0 plus 3 will give us 3. They'll give us 3 squared minus 16. 3 squared is 9. 9 minus 16 will give us negative 7. So the y-intercept is 0, negative 7. Now to solve or to find for the x-intercept, we have to solve for x while we let y equals to 0. Right, so the first thing we have to do here is we're going to add 16 to both sides. Right, so it gives us 16 equals to parentheses x plus 3 close parentheses squared. Now how do we get rid of the square? We use the square root. We use square root to both sides. I just brought the x plus 3 to the left side and the 16 to the right side. Because most of the times we have x equals to something, right? That's why I want to keep it on that form when we have x equals to something. So here, guys, on the left side, right, the square root and the square, right, they cancel each other, so it's like 1. So the square root of 16 will give us 4. So it's going to give us x plus 3 equals to plus or minus 4. Then we subtract 3 to both sides. So it's going to give us x equals to negative 3 plus or minus 4. So x equals to negative 3 plus 4, and x equals to negative 3 minus 4. Will give us x equals to 1, and x equals to negative 7. So those are my x-intercepts. And if you want them in order pair, it's going to give us negative 7, 0, and 1, 0. Okay, I believe this is the last problem for this review. This is number 23. This one, it says the revenue for McDonald's Corporation in billions of dollars for the years 2010 to 2015 can be approximated by the quadratic function r of x equals to negative 1/2 x squared plus 13x minus 57, where x equals 10 corresponds to the year 2010. So this is 3 parts. So for the first part, find the vertex. There's my formula. Right, so my A is negative 0.5 because negative 1/2 is negative 0.5, and my B is 13. So we plug them into the formula. This result is negative 13 over negative 1, which will give us positive 13. Now, to find the B part of the vertex, the Y part of the vertex, all we do is plug in 13 to the original function. And we use our calculators. It's going to give us 27.5. So the vertex is 13, 27.5. Right, so that's my vertex. Now for B part, it says, in what year during this period was the revenue at a maximum? So for part B, guys, in what year, right? So we're looking for the X part of the vertex. So if X equals 10 corresponds to the year 2010, then X equals 13 corresponds to the year 2013. So that's my answer. In 2013, the revenue was the maximum. For part C, what was the maximum revenue to the nearest billion? So in this case, we're looking for the Y part of the vertex, which is a 27.5. But it says to round off to a nearest billion, so this 27.5 rounds off to 28. So the maximum revenue is 28 billion. I believe this is the last problem for this review. I know that most instructors will assign some of these problems from the review, so I just use a whole bunch of different problems, and hopefully your review for your class this problem will help you with a review for your class. Okay. Thank you very much, and let me take it back to our host, so that way they can explain more about what's going to happen next week.
Next week we will have for the Happy Math Hour in Math 1314 the standard form of a quadratic equation in graphing, and for Math 1324 writing exponential equations into logarithmic form for students who accept degree works. Thank you so much to Professor Albert Isasi for presenting today. Thank you to the audience for coming and being a wonderful audience. and we hope to see you again soon. Thank you.